Hello everyone, welcome to the last in my series of Ketu, Rahu through the houses. In this video, I'll be studying in some detail what happens when Ketu is in the second house of your chart and Rahu is in the 8th house. I'll also give you information about Ketu's Mahadasha and Rahu's Mahadasha if they are in this axis. Now, it is a fascinating axis and you have a tremendous opportunity in this lifetime, but it requires focus, and I'm going to show you how to make the most of it. But it's often misunderstood a little bit because Ketu, the factor of liberation, but which also carries our past karmas strongly, and Rahu, the factor that keeps us entwined in the material world, are in a challenging position for themselves. Ketu is not completely happy in a house of such material attachment because the second house is about family life, money, possessions. 8th house is about unexpected events, things that you can't control. Rahu is not happy with that because Rahu wants to be in control. Rahu wants to be the king of the material world and manipulate everything for his own benefit. He's that factor of Maya that keeps us entwined in the illusion. So Rahu's feeling a bit out of control and Ketu is immersed in material factors. But look, here's the point. You took birth to churn the ocean of existence upside down so that you get rid of so many things that have held you back, and you end this lifetime with a real understanding of who you are spiritually, what this material world is. You learn in this lifetime the most amazing amount of occult, spiritual, and even scientific knowledge. So you have quite a journey ahead of you. Let's get to more detail now with Ketu in your second house. So Ketu in your second house has got a lot of very significant factors here. The second house, as I say, is our material world itself. It's your family, it's your possessions, it's everything which you own. It's your identity. That can be what you do for a living, or it can be just your value identity. It's everything which you put a label on and say, me, mine. So it's everything that is really hard to let go of. And when you've got this particular Ketu, you have had lifetimes of a huge sense of material indulgence. And this can be a myriad of circumstances. All depends on the other grahas and the sign involved. But in general, very often you were very wealthy in your past life. It seems a very simplistic explanation, but it's often very true, that you were very wealthy, very materially sound, if you like, and you come into this life with a strong memory that you have to hold on to things, because people who are very wealthy obviously have a fear of loss, and therefore you have that fear in your deep subconscious mind that if you don't hold on to things, so therefore you quickly become very possessive. From a very early age, you're holding on to your toys, your friends, your things, and that, goes on all life. Now, all kids do it, but you're particularly possessive. And anybody who threatens what you own, woe behold those people, yeah, because you really don't like anybody who seems to be in any way a threat to who you are and what you have. Okay, that sounds really negative, like you're not a very nice person, but it isn't like that at all. It's nothing about your actual personality. It's more about your inner fears in your subconscious mind coming from your Ketu, from your past life karma. So it's really hard for you to just go with the flow. When people say go with the flow, let life happen, for you, Ketu second house, that's like, I can't do that. I've got to have control over things, okay? One thing particularly which you find it hard to be easy about is your money. Now, you may attract money. Very often, Ketu, a second house, you don't even have to work that hard to make money. I've seen this. You just go along, do any job, and you naturally seem to get a promotion and to get money. Money flows towards you. And again, that will depend um, on the other planets here and on the signs. We can't say for sure, but most people with this Ketu, money is not like a big thing for you. You attract it to you very easily. But if you look at it seriously, how often are you checking that bank balance? You do have a compulsion about stacking it up and keeping it there because you really don't want to lose what you've got. You're easy to get it. Money flows to you very, very often with this K2, but it doesn't satisfy you. And the more compulsive you become about how much money you've got, all the things you own, the more difficult it becomes for you in this lifetime. And the more unhappy you become, actually. That's what I've seen. K2 doesn't bring you happiness from things in this lifetime. It gives you zilch happiness from all the things you possess. And you tend to be very compulsive. Often I've seen this where you can become very compulsive, like compulsive shopper, compulsive eater because it's the food house, a compulsive drinker, a compulsive anything. You can become an alcoholic, a shopaholic, a relationshipaholic. Whatever it is, you will really indulge. A sexaholic, absolutely, because it's a main material pleasure, and K2 wants to indulge in the material goodies of life. And so no matter how you do this, what it is that you get into in a big way, depending on your individual karmas, it will not satisfy you. In fact, you will just drown in these things and lose sense of who you are. So that's your deepest karma, is to find control. It's not a lecture, guys. It's just what the whole axis is about, because the 8th house is about control. The 8th house is about going with the flow of life, even though, things sort of happen to you in the 8th house which you can't control. It's about control of your indulgences. It's about being just who you are in a raw, naked spiritual sense. Because when things happen to us in this 8th house where your Rahu is, when these things happen to everybody, where you have loss of relatives, where you have loss of possessions, loss of job, loss of identity, these are the things which for you work for your ultimate benefit in a strange way. Nobody wants these things to happen, but they happen to everybody. And when they happen in your life, again, depending on the signs and depending on where the Lord has gone and the other grahas involved, when they inevitably happen, you gain spiritual insight and actually a real sense of real security. So the more that you are forced to lose things, the more things are taken away from you, in a converse sense, the more inner happiness you get, if you understand what I mean. That's because that's your karmic axis, to find your true spiritual self. And therefore you often end up with this, with this particular Ketu Rahu, as a very different individual in your later life than you were, particularly if you tend to have this particular dasha, Ketu first, and then have the Rahu dasha. It works really well, because then you come in your later life to a real sense of peace. Despite all the crises and all the difficulties, you find a real peace. Even if you don't have as many possessions anymore, you find peace. And that peace, that goes with you into your next life, into your next birth, and is so hugely valuable when you think about it. So you need to think rather deeply about who you are in your core being here, and to recognize that you are very possessive, and recognize that you do tend to cling on to things, and also recognize that you might have an easygoing attitude towards money sometimes. I've seen that as well. But when it really comes to it, if somebody really threatens your identity, that's scary. So it all depends on the other grahas. But yes, you make money easily. Yes, you grasp things towards you, and you can have a house full of possessions. You can be very well off or not very well off, but it's a sense of holding on. that you have to let go of in this lifetime, okay? It's all about being okay as you are in a deep spiritual sense, okay? So it's not a life of having to renounce everything. It's not a life of having to be poor to be happy. I'm not saying that. You're not likely to be poor, by the way, because this particular Ketu, as I say, attracts money to you, attracts possessions to you, attracts things to you, and very good job opportunities to you as well. So you do normally attract all these things, okay? But the main thing is they don't satisfy you because your karma is the 8th house. Your karma is not material possessions, okay? And it's a real spiritual churning because Rahu wants to indulge and Ketu wants to give up. So, Ketu will do his magic in your 2nd house in the Dasha period. What tends to happen is in the Dasha of Ketu, you tend to go all out for your job and your career, all out to multiply your possessions. And very often you do very well in that period. For most people, you're able to, become a bit of a, sort of workaholic and to do very, very sort of well in that time. But often what you find, and I've seen this, in this particular 7-year period, the Ketu Dasha, even if you seem to get the job you want, it slips away from you. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. Even if you want to go into a new career and you get there and think, I don't want this anymore. That's a very typical thing with this particular Ketu Dasha. That's because you are learning those lessons of letting go and not depending on material sustenance as your main source of happiness. Right, so now let's move on to discover what Rahu in the 8th house means and how the Dasha period will affect you. So Rahu in the 8th house of your chart is a powerful, powerful Rahu. Yes, Rahu struggles in here because Rahu doesn't like the sudden upsets, and you will have from time to time in your life times when the rug is just pulled from underneath you. Now, everybody has that, but for you it becomes quite startling because it really pulls into that Ketu of wanting to just not have to deal with these sudden changes, and also with that fear of loss that I've just been talking about in some depth. So when these things happen to you, though, it's a blessing in disguise. Rahu wants you to gain in this lifetime knowledge of spirituality, occult knowledge, even scientific knowledge which really makes you understand the metaphysical truths of what the universe is, who you are, why you are here, and and what it's all about. If you like, in some ways the 8th house is a bit of a cage. I've seen some Vedic astrologers describe it like that. It's a very interesting analogy, isn't it? A cage. It's a cage, between the open world and the spiritual world of the 9th house. It's a bit of a trapped space, the 8th house. Okay, and it's also the house of our longevity. So Rahu, rather, people think, oh, it's a very, a dangerous house for your Rahu. Not at all. You can live a long, long life with Rahu in your 8th house. Rahu wants to keep you here because Rahu wants to experience this occult knowledge which will release you. The negative side is I need to bring in the negative side of a Rahu 8th house. Yes, you will indulge in occult knowledge and you will gain all these mysteries of how to manipulate these material energies, okay? Because occult is about manipulating material energies, okay? And you will also be very interested in science and research and even psychology. People who have an in-depth understanding of psychology, mind control, if you like, not mind control in a negative way, but, the science of why people do things they do. That's a Rahu 8th house. Rahu 8th house wants to understand people. Why though? On the negative side, Rahu wants to manipulate. So be careful about any manipulative tendencies where you're trying to gain knowledge to gain more power. Because if you do that, it will backfire. You will see it backfire straight in your face, Be careful of any secretive tendencies. I've seen this quite a bit actually, and I've had a way to find this out as well, that, sometimes people who become so afraid of loss in their relationships that they're almost stalking other people in their relationship. Be very careful of any tendency to stalk other people on the internet, or stalk other people physically, or in any way try to control people. It will backfire. All these things always do backfire, but you may find that you're very tempted by all of those things. Detective work, finding out what other people are up to, other people in your life, and trying to get that control. If you're really honest, you'll say, yeah, I have thought about doing that actually. It's scary stuff in some ways, but Rahu is just wanting to gain control. Yeah, get that manipulation, get that hook into the situation. But here's the thing, Rahu is the lower level of Rahu, which will not work for your benefit. So what you have to do is you seriously have to go for the higher level of Rahu. And what is the higher level of Rahu? The higher level of Rahu is where you let go, where you let people be who they are. You don't have to go stalking them. You let people be their own personalities, and if they don't want to be with you, then bye-bye. You gain an inner strength, an inner confidence, whereby you don't need to control other people. That's the highest level of an 8th house Rahu. So try for that. It's going to really benefit you spiritually. So all the knowledge you gain, all this occult knowledge, whatever, is for your absolute benefit. In a good sense, of course, in a work sense, it can make you a spy, a detective, anybody who's researching, and all of those sort of jobs where you are doing undercover work. Very highly favourable for you. But let's look at the aspects of Rahu. It's a 12th house and a 4th house aspect here. So this is going to take you in the Dasa period to foreign lands for a new home many times. I've seen this, okay, where you actually move, where you actually have the daring to let go of your possessions and your things and move to a new place. Because very often when you move, you have to let go of things, right? So you actually dare to move from where you feel secure to a new place in this particular Dasha period. Very often it happens without you even wanting it to happen. That can happen again depending on sign and grahas. It can often happen without you even wanting it. But if you go with it, don't be afraid. It will be your absolute destiny and to your absolute spiritual well-being if you go with that flow. Yeah? So it's a powerful Rahu that will transform your life, as I've said, from a life of real scared of losing anything, holding on to things, me and mine, afraid to lose things. But actually when you lose things, e.g. when your job is taken away from you, when your identity is taken away from you, when people go in your life, when you have unfortunate deaths in your life, all these things, rather than being bad for you and leaving you in a heap of despair, actually make you stronger inside. You grow in wisdom and strength. So it's a very powerful axis. Okay, I hope this was a useful video for you all. Please sub to my channel. I'm starting out again on YouTube, like the video below if you did, and there'll be more soon. I'm starting a new series soon on Saturn in the houses. Okay, goodbye for now, and God bless everyone.